Hey gamers, Gaming with Milko here, bringing you another Clash Royale video. That's right guys, and this is going to be a deck spotlight. Now unfortunately this is the second time I've had to record this deck spotlight, because unfortunately for some reason the first time it never recorded. That's an absolute lie. It recorded about 2 minutes of the 12.5-minute recording. So guys, before I show you the deck, you all do me a big favour and smash that like button. Let's see if we can get 50 likes on this video. And while you're at it guys, if you've not already done so already, hit that subscribe button and let's see if we can get some additional subscribers from this video as well. So guys, let's kick it off and have a look at the deck that we're going to be spotlighting today. So guys, the deck consists of the Goblin Hut, the Giant, the Minions, the Fireball, the Wizard, the Spear Goblins, the Elixir Collector, and the Mini PEKKA. So guys, if you hang around to the end of this deck, I will give you some quick tips and tricks on how best to utilise this deck. So let's have a quick look at how this deck has been performing. Now this deck has far more victories than defeats. Don't get me wrong, it does have a few defeats in there, but the majority of them are victories. So as you can see guys, victory, victory, victory. We do have a defeat, victory, defeat, victory, defeat, victory, 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 defeat. We had a draw there. A victory, 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 defeat, victory, 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 defeat, defeat, victory. So as you can see, this deck has been performing exceptionally well. And it's been performing well against a massive variety of decks as well. So let's have a look at some of these replays. The first one here is going to be against an opponent that had both the Ice Wizard and the Miner. So we're going to watch this and we're going to see how we utilise this deck. So luckily we have both the Giant and the Elixir Collector. So we're going to start the Elixir Collector at the back to build up that Elixir before we start our push. Now our opponent does have an interesting deck here. So down goes that Elixir Collector. At the same time our opponent drops the Ice Wizard. Now the good thing about this deck is that when you actually start to build up momentum, that's when this deck does amazing, because the opponents just find it so hard to counter it when you are continually putting them under pressure. Now this is a very strange deck because it has both the Tombstone and the Witch, so we have a massive multitude of skeletons to actually overwhelm us at times, which doesn't help against troops such as our Mini PEKKA. So down goes our Giant, down goes our Mini PEKKA. Now we use that Fireball to do as much damage as we physically can to the Witch. Unfortunately, obviously not quite enough to take it down due to the slivers of health it's left with. But because of that, our tower is very nearly destroyed in very short order. So at this point we're in a very poor position. Only 594 HP left on the right side tower. So we're not winning the Elixir race either, but we do now know what our opponent has got, so it gives us an opportunity to obviously know how to counter those cards. So opponent again drops the Ice Wizard, so we've dropped down our Giant and we've got our Goblins from the Goblin Hut behind. I then decide to drop down the Minions to take out that Witch, to try and mitigate the damage that she can do and to kill off those deadly skeletons. Unfortunately our Giant does go down, but we are able to take down those skellies. Unfortunately our opponent then decides to drop down his own Giant. The best way to counter the Giant, the Mini PEKKA. So we drop down the Spear Goblins to take out that Miner, because obviously we want to get that down as quickly as possible. Unfortunately that Zap spell, combining with the Miner and the Giant, does take down our first tower, putting us in a very poor position. Good thing about this deck though is that when it gets to overtime, it is simply OP, and you can do some significant damage. So we have our Mini PEKKA up front, followed by all these Spear Goblins. So we are able to do as much damage to our opponent's Mini PEKKA as possible, and able to take it out. So this time I decided to change my tactic and go down the opposite channel. The Giant goes down, followed by those Minions, and now the Mini PEKKA. So that Minion is going to take out that Witch, while that Giant and then that Mini PEKKA and those Spear Goblins are going to take out this tower. Just like that, that tower has absolutely disintegrated. We're then able to put some additional pressure on, so I drop the Giant down on the far side or in the middle, followed by the Minions down that far side, because once the Minions get to that tower, they are just fantastic at dealing damage. They are absolutely brilliant at it. So we've got the Mini PEKKA and the Spear Goblins going down this side. Boom! Down goes that second tower, putting us into a solid 2-1 victory. So we drop down our Wizard now, followed by the Mini PEKKA as well, and let's try and see if we can get this tower down with 5 seconds on the clock. Boom, there it goes, 2 seconds left for a solid 3-1 victory. Simply fantastic. And that's how quick you can turn things around with this deck. It is simply amazing what it can do. So we're going to look at this next deck, which includes the Miner and the level 10 Royal Giant. So unfortunately we haven't got the best start in hand here, guys. So the best thing to do here is to just utilise the Spear Goblins at the back to allow us to get that Elixir Collector into our hand and get it down on the field. So down goes the Spear Goblins just so we don't waste too much elixir. Unfortunately our opponent does drop down his Wizard. So we drop down our Elixir Collector. Unfortunately our opponent then decides to drop down his Royal Giant, followed by the minions. At this point, we are not looking too clever. So I drop down my own Wizard to take out those minions, and I utilise the Fireball to do as much damage as possible to that Royal Giant. Luckily, the Miner goes to the tower and not to the Wizard, so the Wizard is going up with the minions behind. Unfortunately, he's not going to get too many shots off here, but he manages to get one off. Unfortunately, our opponent does have that zap. So at this point, again, we are in a losing position. Like I said, guys, though, the longer this deck goes on, and when it hits overtime, that's when this deck knows how to work. So down goes that Goblin Hut. Unfortunately, our opponent then does drop down that Furnace. The Dastardly Furnace is fantastic at taking out all these big goblins. And then our opponent decides to drop down the Barbarians as well. So down goes the Wizards to try and utilise its splash damage to take out those Barbarians, which it is able to do. Then, obviously, unfortunately, our opponent drops down his Wizard, which is able to take out a large portion of our Spear Goblins. But we do get their Wizard down with that Goblin there. So at this point, we are ahead on Elixir, but unfortunately, we are down on HP on the tower. So I drop down that second Elixir Collector now for the second time, just try and build us up. So our opponent drops in that Miner, but unfortunately, like I say, it goes for the tower instead of the Collector. So we drop down our minions to take out our opponent's minions. Now he does drop down those Fire Spirits, but that tower then goes down to 1100 HP. But it's time to start our push. So down goes the Giant in the front. Again, he drops that Furnace down. But we have all these Spear Goblins now coming in behind. Unfortunately, our opponent does have that Zap spell, which he likes to utilise. And he does have those Barbarians as well. So I drop down my mini P.E.K.K.A, which is then lured over to the other side. Our opponent uses that Zap spell to take out all those Spear Goblins, the poor Spear Goblins. Now I'm just going to completely ignore the Miner, knowing he can't do too much damage to that tower. Unfortunately, that Wizard can do damage to our troops. So we've got the Giant in the front, so I Fireball the Wizard to get it out and do some damage to that tower. And then our opponent drops down his Barbarians. Luckily, I've got the Giant on the tower and I've got all those Spear Goblins. So as you can see, that Miner and those Barbarians are making short work of all those Spear Goblins, but not without taking crazy amounts of damage in return. And our Elixir collection is on the uprise. So we drop down the mini P.E.K.K.A and the Giant. Now, luckily, we just need to try and get that tower down. And unfortunately, with 7 seconds to go, our tower goes down. But we get there just in time to take our opponent's tower down. And all I want to do from this is now continue our very own push. Now, those Fire Spirits take out those multitude of Spear Goblins as well. Down goes my mini P.E.K.K.A to assist the Giant, but unfortunately those minions and those Barbarians are going to make short work of it. But I'm just going to continue this pressure. The more pressure I put on, the harder it is going to be for the opponents to defend. So down goes those minions, down goes those Spear Goblins. Those minions are going to take out that Wizard. Luckily we've got all those Spear Goblins, but they are made short work of by those Fire Spirits. Those Barbarians unfortunately do take out that Wizard, but we have that mini P.E.K.K.A there for taking out as much as possible. Now at this point, guys, there's 22 seconds on the clock and we've only got 743 HP on our opponent's tower. So down goes our Giant, down goes those minions, down goes those Spear Goblins. Do we have time? Unfortunately, the Furnace slows us down a bit more. The Giant goes in. There goes the Zap. There goes the Fireball. Can we do it? The Spear Goblins go in. The Giant goes in. And there we go. 3 seconds on the clock. The tower goes down for a solid 3-1 victory. Simply amazing. And that's how versatile this deck is, guys. Remember, that deck consists of the Spear Goblin, or the Goblin Hut, the Giant, the Minions, the Fireball, the Wizard, the Spear Goblins, the Elixir Collector, and the mini P.E.K.K.A. My advice is, in the starting hand, you want one of 3 cards. You want the Goblin Hut, the Giant, or the Elixir Collector. Preferably the Elixir Collector, so you can start building up that Elixir as quickly as possible. When you, obviously, on defense, get that Goblin Hut down, it provides a fantastic distraction for troops. It slows down princes, knights, things like that, etc. And it's fantastic at distracting troops. When possible, as soon as you want to start your push, get your giant in front and then get those goblins from the goblin hut behind it. Utilize the spear goblins as well and have those minions on standby, because if you put those minions behind that giant, if they haven't got something that obviously splash damage can take them out, such as a wizard, then minions deal fantastic damage to all troops. Absolutely brilliant. Utilize the wizard either behind the giant as well, or sometimes behind the mini P.E.K.K.A if you're trying to swap things up. That mini P.E.K.K.A is there to take out your giants, your royal giants, your sparkies, your high hit point troops, and also to then obviously near the end to push onto that tower just to get a few swings off of that tower for maximum damage. Like I was saying, guys, this deck is so versatile. It's absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love it. And it works at all levels as well. So as soon as you get that wizard, this deck will plow through anything. So guys, that's it from me. If you like what you see, comment below, let me know. If you've not subscribed, guys, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you gamers next time. Take care.